Hello, kia ora, g'day. I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast for the next 7 days and your 7-day rainfall outlook. Let's have a look and see what's happening at the moment. A bit of energy around today. We've got a cold front zipping along Western Australia, moving very quickly. This is only a 6-hour animation and it moves quite the distance in just 6 hours. So it won't take long for it to zip over to South Australia and then come into the southeast. A few thunderstorms, squally showers behind it as the colder airflow arrives. Out to sea, the jet stream producing some very high cloud here. That is zipping away also from Australia. We've got some wet weather mostly offshore, but plenty of thunderstorms across the eastern coastline. I heard in Sydney last night, people could see the lightning offshore without it really affecting you. Some rain as well, that's coming onto the coastline as we go through today. So all eyes now really are on what is happening to the south here as we start to see this big storm south of about Adelaide, well south of Adelaide, several hundred, maybe a couple, over 1,000 kilometres away from you actually. But that storm is so big that it's stretching all the way back up into Australia. So that's a really sizable system, but because it's so far away, that's why that front is just zipping along. It's not stuck near the centre of it, and so it's going to move along quite fast. Minimal weather really with it, but like I said yesterday, a few thunderstorms, some squally showers, and obviously some gusty weather. This shows the strongest winds. In fact, near the low, the winds here, there's a bit of orange shading well down towards the Southern Ocean. 110 kilometre an hour winds sustained there. And even just offshore from South Australia, 80 kilometre an hour winds sustained. So very windy weather as a result of that big storm, but elsewhere high pressure and a little bit of a dip in it with low pressure up here around the Tasman Sea, the North Tasman Sea area going up towards the Coral Sea. That's why we're seeing some of that moisture, that energy coming through with those thunderstorms along the eastern side. Let's have a look at Friday's setup. So that big storm is well south of us, but as I say, it's brushing along. So there is that cold front. It's now coming into Victoria and Tasmania. The severe weather box, mostly really just for Tasmania, where you've got the chance of thunderstorms, squally showers with bursts of wind. And you've also got quite a strong west to southwesterly, or it might even be northwest to begin with, and that may gust over gale force, possibly severe gale around some of the valleys and the ranges. So that's just worth keeping an eye on. Again, it's at the lower end of the scale as far as severe weather is concerned, but some is possible. And as that cold change comes in, that's when you start to get snow falling down to lower levels, 800 or 900 metres or so, and up into Victoria as well. Similar kind of snow lines, around about 1,000 metres, dropping down maybe to about 800 metres. Someone said yesterday, when I said 700 metres as being low, that they said that's not low. Fair pushback. I should have said fairly low. 700 metres is fairly low in Australia to start getting heavier snowfall coming in like that. Of course, it's possible to go right down to very low levels, 100 metres or so, but this is still not a common everyday thing to see the polar airflow line going this far north and packing in moisture with it. Snow could be quite heavy at higher elevation, so above 1,000 metres. We are seeing some decent heavy snow around, and those snow levels do vary off and on over the coming days, possibly as low as 500 metres around Tasmania and parts of Victoria. That may still change, but that is the current thinking with the heaviest snow above 600 or 700 metres. And again, even then, this map here doesn't show huge amounts of moisture. So while you might have snow forecasts and people are talking about it, it may not be much. In some places it just might be a centimetre, if that. Other areas though, it could be more problematic. And if Australia is anything like New Zealand, it only takes a centimetre of snow to shut roads and cause problems. So that's just why we're mentioning it. And for farmers as well, as I said yesterday, wintry weather coming through here on Saturday. Many other places though, pretty dry, a bit windy though, coming into Western Australia, thanks to that easterly flow. Still there on Sunday, plenty of easterlies, dry for pretty much all of Western Australia, dry for all of the Northern Territory, and dry basically by the looks of it for all of Queensland. You never know, an isolated shower might linger, but it's dry. As you drop southwards, now you get to see what is happening. So between the incoming high approaching South Australia and the low pressure zone developing over Tasmania and Bass Strait, that encourages that southerly wind to be stronger and suck up more of that cold airflow. So it is going to be a wintry day in Victoria and the southeast corner of South Australia going into Sunday. Wettest weather is around Victoria and the northwest corner of Tasmania. Severe weather risks are in the form of thunderstorms, squally showers, and at higher levels, some snow. as that all moves on through, coming into the mountains even more so. Not so bad in eastern areas as those westerlies are ahead of it, although you will feel the temperatures down. On Monday, that low moves out and becomes an east coast low. So between the east coast low and the high that is very close to it around Tasmania, those winds swing from being a southerly around to an easterly or a southeasterly. Some heavy rain in the border here between Victoria and New South Wales. Wintry weather all around the mountains, snow flurries down to anywhere between 700 metres and about 900 metres. We're seeing some snow around, some heavier falls higher up, and cold weather around the ACT, cold in Sydney as well, and that polar line going closer to Queensland. By Tuesday, it doesn't go right up over it, but it goes close to it, and therefore the airflow is coming up into the northern parts of New South Wales, going into Queensland. You'll all feel that temperature down. Further up the coastline, maybe not so much into the rest of Queensland. Northern Territory has no idea what's going on with this cold blast. They're so separate from it. Similar stories with the Kimberley, the Pilbara. You're well away from it all. But there is the next cold front coming in to the southwest and around Perth. Thunderstorms, squalls, you know it, you're getting used to it. That's back again on Tuesday. Classic unsettled weather for this time of the year. Let's zoom out now. Big picture next Wednesday. A lot of stormy stuff south of Western Australia. So that is producing huge amounts of wind. That's going to boost up the wave heights all along the southern coastline. Windy nor'westers, they'll be warm around parts of South Australia, and that moves in later on into Victoria and Tasmania. The cold airflow still around, still going up well into the New South Wales area, but it is easing because that warmer airflow is behind it. So by Thursday, everything's over as far as the winter blast, for now anyway, because there's more cold air behind it. But over in the southeast side, mild northwesterly winds. Rain returns to the northwest corner of Tasmania. Showers or rain brush South Australia, and showers spread out across the southern half of Western Australia. On the eastern side, that's high pressure over New South Wales. And so your weather is easing. There may still be a couple of showers around Port Macquarie, Newcastle, that area. But for the most part, things are drying out by Thursday of next week. But the next active front in here producing thunderstorms. That's the severe weather risk, really, is thunderstorms. And maybe again, some snow coming back into Tasmania a bit later on. So there certainly are a few things going on. This is an animation for you to show you the snow and the rain again. The greens and the green is rain, the blue is snow, and this goes from early Friday morning. It is in New Zealand time. We can't actually change it to Aussie, so just take it 2 hours back, and there is the timestamp. So I'll animate it now, and you'll get the idea of what comes in over Friday. And then as we go into the weekend, you see those snow flurries popping up even up to the Blue Mountains and around Tasmania. Next week, a lot of cold air lingers around with still some snow flurries at the tops of the mountains, and then it clears away by the time we get to Wednesday of next week as that warmer northwesterly flow starts to come back in again. Let's make sense of the rainfall. Here is the 7-day rainfall map. So there comes the cold change, and then you can see kind of it builds up, fronts one after the other, showers moving through, the low forming, driving more rain back in again. So when you look at that and you try and work out how much snow is going to fall, you see through the mountains here, you're seeing the colour shading getting up around 40 millimetres, maybe getting close to 50. So that is quite a lot of snow for some areas at the high elevations. That could be half a metre of snow. So we'll be monitoring that one closely, but you go up to about the ACT, it really tapers off. But you can see the moisture coming through here. That's why we are seeing that risk of some snow around with heavy falls. Similar story for Tasmania. Some welcome rain, I guess, for South Australia, for Victoria and South Australia. Some of you are telling me that you want more. And over in Western Australia, those cold fronts carry on, and very dry in the areas where it is supposed to be very dry. So there we go. All right, today's flight sim place of the day, Benambra, Victoria. Hope I said that right. Up in the Australian Alps there. Population just 149, but you are 700 metres above sea level. So snow is certainly possible. Going into the weekend, you see here the snow risk mostly around Sunday. Certainly will be up on the mountains here. There is the airstrip, the Benambra Lakeside Airstrip. There is a weather station there. Someone wrote to me on YouTube yesterday to tell me that's where his weather station is. And so being a flight sim nerd, it was like match made in heaven to show you this place as the flight sim place of the day. But look at the temperatures. overnight lows -2 to +3, and your daytime maximums are certainly all over the place, from just 6 degrees, that'll be this weekend, to 16 degrees later next week as those warmer nor'westers arrive. So we expect plenty of snow on those mountains over the weekend. That's all from me. See you again tomorrow, Friday, with our next update.